So I'm at Comic-Con International San Diego, sitting here with actress, model, and writer Anna Alexandra. She has created Porcelain, this brand new comic. So, tell us about it.
Well, it's my very first comic. I've never created any comics before. I never thought I could because it just seemed so wild for me to do it because I was such a big lover of them. And actually now that I've done one, made one, it's possible, but it's I definitely do have huge respect for people who get really successful at it because it is a complex experience, but it's really fun, it's super creative. It's different than sitting down writing a script and trying to tell a story through a script of a novel where you're sitting next to your computer. It's got a lot more involvement. And what's so great about it is that you can be a lot more creative because, and actually present your vision rather than just letting people get maybe from the words that you're talking about. So this comic is a female action superhero. Her name is Porcelain, but that's actually her code name is when she works under the man for the company. The story is really a story about a woman coming to power, and which is something that I've always looked for when it comes to stories because I'm a woman and I come from a war-torn country, and in this comic I tell the story actually, believe it or not, even that it's a sci-fi-ish story and action, a lot about my life and the way I've lived and what you have to go, but of course dramatize and make it to a superhero. Who doesn't want to be a superhero, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I want to meet that person.
yeah. I mean, everybody wants to fly.
Exactly, at least.
Yeah, at least that.
Well, she doesn't just fly, she does a lot of things.
Yeah.
Killing people. And then, it's like, when we're working on all her powers and all the, weapons and stuff, and one of the weapons that she has is this, this laser sword that cauterizes the blood, and so there's no blood, so when she does her killings, very often it just dumps in blood, just
that's pretty cool.
Chopped up. And when I was thinking about, she's powerful and she's got, she's as fit as any human can be. She's like everything super humanized, but she has one thing that's not very common. She's got really high intuition as a power. So
she's really smart.
She's super smart.
Yeah.
But you have to read a comic. The first one is really like you jump into the middle of the storyline, like the beginning of where she comes from. And you start slowly finding out who she is. So I would not, if I start saying what it's about, you won't read a comic.
yeah. I don't want to give away too much.
Not too much. But instead, in general, why I created it as well is not just because I wanted to be. I mean, I always thought, oh, it's so cool to have a comic book. But also because I always, whenever I do anything, if I write, if I produce, if I even act, when I do anything, I want to tell something. I want to tell a story. I want people to think about it. I want people to feel something.
So why are you here? I killed my husband. Stabbed him in the chest 6 times. Jesus.
I want people to agree or disagree, at least something, even if they don't like it. I want them to tell me why they don't like it.
Yeah.
Something
to think about.
Yeah, something to think about. But I try to tell stories that are relevant to the humanity. I talk about family. I want to talk about family. I want to talk about spirituality. I want to talk about the energy that we all live in, and I want to talk about what we're doing to this world we live in through a fun, action, cool, sexy story.
I think we've had enough fun for one night, don't you?
Sounds fantastic to me. I'm gonna buy one.
Now, hopefully we can just, keep on doing it. I mean, when you do a first one and you look at it and you go like this and you go like, oh my, that's kind of small. It's kind of thin. But you have to start somewhere, and it's kind of when you see things and pictures that you think about, you're like, oh, this is really cool. You can never, you can keep on trying to get it better and better and better, but you will never get it out. Sometimes it's good just to get, and that's one thing I've learned. You learn a lot when you do something for the first time about yourself. And,
yeah, it's true. I mean, I know myself through the creative process. Like you end up finding, all these things about, know, what you personally really find to be interesting, and also your own experiences, how you were raised comes up, things like that. Like when you're creating something, it's always going to be personal to one extent or another.
But it's kind of interesting because I always find it like, you know, creating comic book, you look around, we hear I mean, there is so many different characters. However, so many similar characters. And what is it?
Yeah, there's always similarities between.
And for me, it was a question like, what is it? How do you create a character or a story that is different to others? Well, the only really way of doing it is to make it personal.
Yeah, if you're just really honest with the material
and
because, take it from personal experiences, then.
Because at the end of the day, none of the stories that I hear, no characters are unique per se, because they all have something in common with another.
They're all pretty much archetypes, you know.
Exactly.
And like somebody once said, that, like every story has already been told technically.
Absolutely.
It's just how you tell all the stories that are already out there. You know, it's just, you know, finding a new way to tell stories that everyone kind of already knows.
Exactly, but I think it's just, you know, finding a way of telling it. It's one thing, and what hasn't been done. I mean, Porcelain, whereas, I mean, as I was creating that kind of a gold, and we came up with a mask. So she wears this mask, which, you know, we're not going to tell you if she keeps it off or on when she breaks out, but in general, you know, so the mask, I love it for Vendetta. One of the things that one of the comics I really like. I mean, it's like, and for me, he wears the mask for a different reason. However, the symbolisms of comic books to me are really important. What I like, you know, what does that mask stand for? Yeah, it's got a reason. Why she wears the mask is because the way that she's being controlled by the company is through the mask.
Yeah, because every superhero wears a mask, so it's interesting to change the symbolism behind the idea of a mask, because masks are so.
And it also becomes their staple, like Batman. You know, he's got a certain mask, and everybody knows what it is. You know, whoever it is.
But the reasons why he wears it, you know, like as far as the reasons, those can be different per superhero. You know, and that's. Yeah, and that makes it interesting.
So like when you look at Porcelain, she wears a mask, but then at the very end of the comic book, you get to see her face. Because you don't see her face throughout the beginning. And she literally looks like, almost like a robot, almost like this enormous, just really statuesque. Which I like, because the point is that one thing that I was looking for as well in this comic is to have, and hopefully as it carries on, as it breathes and gets life, you will get there, is to have the feeling of light and darkness.
Yeah.
You know, and one of the things that humans have is we have the dark and the light and the bright side. Each one of us, no matter.
Absolutely.
And the good and the bad.
And somebody who doesn't have any darkness in them is probably going to be pretty boring anyway.
I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's humanly.
It isn't really,
I mean, even you know, the Mother Teresa probably has some darkness in her. But it's normal, and it's not. It's a yin and yang. It's the way the creation of the world balances.
Yeah.
And this is why, like, you know, the thing is that the first cover that I have is black, pretty black. I mean, it went a little bit dark in it. But you know, I was like, it's the first one. It's dark, and it's like you can't really see, but that's where she starts. She starts where we get into it's the dark period. And will we ever come out of the dark period? We'll see. But I like to I like to pick colors and palettes that go from, you know, emotionally through what you're seeing. Okay, so when she's killing, it's dark, and when she starts getting into, when you're about to see her take her mask off, it starts getting brighter and brighter.
Yeah.
And
that's great.
When you get to see her face, it's bright. But still, not as bright as it could possibly get.
Right.
Will it ever get
there's
brighter?
Still that tinge of darkness.
Yeah, I like.
So always laying underneath.
Yeah, my also one of the things that my favorite movie and stories, Blade Runner, and.
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorites too. Yeah.
And this is kind of like, this is why I always wanted to do something that's kind of vague. I've tried in this first one. It's not yet there. I mean, it's going to get better, but it's like, you know, to choose the right artist that can do that and everything.
Yeah, and if your inspiration is Blade Runner, that's pretty much like one of the best inspirations there is. So I'm sure this is a great comic. Honestly, I can't wait to read it. Thanks for talking to me.
Thank you.
And you can find Porcelain at keenspot.com, and if you're at Comic-Con, it is at the Red Giant booth. And so check it out, Porcelain. Thanks.
Hello.
Hi.
My ex is getting married, and I need someone to pretend to be my girlfriend for just a few minutes. Could be a lot of fun, you know. You get a free meal out of it, fish or chicken.
I like chicken.
You are such a lifesaver. Oh, your name is Holly. Look who I found.
Oh, so this must be the famous Holly.
She's my soulmate. Sometimes we'll stay up all night just talking about nothing and everything.
I like chicken.
Well, I am glad that we could finally meet.
Oh, no meat. I like chicken. Please excuse, I am no English speak, never.
Yet somehow we make it work.